And we are back, and we just finished watching 2020's The Whale, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 57 minutes. We purchased this for rent on Prime. This was directed by Darren Aronofsky from a play by Samuel D. Hunter. This
was from 2020?
Did I say 2020? I said 2022, last year.
Whoops. Said 2020.
Whoops, sorry. This is from 2022. In the race for this year's Oscars, did not win. It lost out to Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a shame because I don't think I've been devastated by a movie like this in a really, really long time. Like when we saw Breaking, I was severely impacted, but this, I was ugly crying through at least 70% of this film. At least.
Yeah, this was hard to watch.
This was hard to watch. It was mentally and emotionally draining.
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel like I turn to you and I'm like, I'm shell shocked. And don't get me wrong, I am such a disciple of Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's such a great movie on a different scale. That one's more positive. It has a happy ending, et cetera, et cetera. This does not. From the first frame to the very last, it's dark, it's dreary, the topic is just devastating, and I don't even know what to say. I'm just blown away by everything. Again, don't get me wrong, I do love the other movie a lot, but this was something. This was kudos to Aronofsky. He's such a master storyteller. I've always liked him. I think on one of our first dates was to go see Requiem for a Dream, another shell-shocking movie.
Yeah.
I think we both left the theater and we
were just like, oh.
We were
like I was in a cold sweat. Like I had just woken from a fever.
Yes. Another just amazing storytelling experience from this master storyteller. I don't know if we're spoiling. I feel like people kind of know what this is about.
The movie's given in the synopsis. It's about a guy who's severely morbidly obese.
Mm-hmm.
He is homebound, and he's trying to sort of reconnect with his teenage daughter, who he's been estranged from for like 8
years, something like that.
8 years or some amount of time, because he knows he's going to die.
Yeah.
He's had like a massive I'm guessing he's having heart attacks.
I'm assuming.
And like pretty much anything is triggering it off. Laughing, other stuff.
Breathing
in general.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when she took the blood pressure, I mean, as somebody who takes blood pressure meds, when she was like 234 over 138, I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
wow.
Those are some big numbers.
Big numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and she's like, you have to go to the hospital. He looks online. It's like, oh, if you have this, call 911.
And what does he do? He shoves candy bars down his throat.
Yeah. But like one thing that kind of like I noticed, because I was like looking at comments from other reviews, it's like, oh, this is terrible. They're going in on all the tropes about overweight people and whatnot. And I'm like, God damn, how hard can you miss a freaking point?
Yeah.
There wasn't any.
This wasn't about that.
We weren't like giggling and chortling while this was going on. This is.
Yeah, and if that was your reaction to this, there's something severely wrong with you.
Something wrong with you. And if you think that's the only feeling
Takeaway from
anybody
this,
could feel from that, there is definitely something
wrong with you as well.
I don't know what the hell is going on in your mind to think that there's anything exploitative or disturbing about this. This is like a mental issue that people go through when they're at this sort of like level of bad health. And to just be like, oh, you shouldn't be seeing this. You shouldn't be seeing this. Why? Because that'll make it go away?
No.
Right. You know, it's sort of like, yeah, this is terrible. This is what this guy's life is.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it. Let's just face it. And like I said, it's hard to watch.
Absolutely.
This isn't something that I'm like, ha, look at him, he's eating a pizza. No, this is like signs of a man who's like
completely given up.
He's given up. He's battling like severe depression
and doesn't want to live.
And yet the thing about him, the thing that makes him such an interesting character is he has this inner optimism about people being amazing. And he carries that throughout the whole movie, even when he is like at his lowest points. He just tries and sees this good in pretty much everybody.
You're gonna make me cry.
But it's true. I mean, seriously, his performance is
amazing,
is outstanding. I mean,
outstanding.
Underneath all the prosthetics and whatnot, Brendan Fraser's eyes are just
haunting,
just amazing, so full of emotion and feeling, and you could have just showed his eyes throughout the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like that conflict between how just absolutely shitty everything is. The fact that, well, his physical condition, the fact that what brought on his physical condition, and through it all, he still believes that, right honestly, he's trying to teach his class to be honest, to be true. He's trying to teach that to his daughter. His daughter is a nightmare.
Yeah.
She is very resentful for him going away.
Right.
For him choosing someone else over
her
and her mother. And now, like, he's trying to bring her back into his life. He literally has a week to live. I mean, the movie starts on a Monday,
ends on a Friday.
So it's not even, it's like a work week. It's not even a full week. He doesn't even get the weekend.
Yeah.
Whether you like the movie or not, whether you think it might be exploitative, well, you're a fool if you do. But
that aside,
or if you're just, the story might not interest you. I don't know. I don't see how his performance is worth watching. He is
absolutely
amazing in this.
He is. Yeah. I'm glad that. Well, without going too much, obviously Brendan Fraser took a break from Hollywood to kind of get himself back on track, and it is really nice to see him back. This was, without a doubt, one of the most devastating movies I've ever seen. And it's not over the top. I mean, everything feels rooted in reality. It's not some cyborg war against the humans. It's not some contagion plague that's turning people into zombies or whatever. This is deeply rooted in the human experience. This is the story of a man who...
he's facing his mortality.
Well, that, but
literally.
I think even before that, let's talk about how he was not authentic. He finds the thing that makes him authentic. That thing is taken away. And then just years of self-hate compounded with this, like you said, I think depression and just basically killing himself with food.
Killing himself, yeah.
I mean, he is definitely killing himself with food. There's also these elements of religion. You don't really see the Tom character in the trailers, but Tom is a character who is sort of like a messenger coming to save kind of thing. And it's interesting because in the beginning of the film, I like Tom. By the end of the film, I hate Tom. At the beginning of the film, I hated Ellie. By the end of the film, I liked Ellie. And it was interesting to see that happen through the course of this story. And just, I love how, I mean, I don't know if, I'm assuming that's also part of the play, but I think obviously Aronofsky maybe saw this play, read this play, whatever it is, picked up on these things, and as a filmmaker sort of fleshed them out so that you as a viewer can see them, because the theater experience is definitely different than a movie watching experience.
Yeah.
I mean, although watching this film now, I didn't read that about it being a play beforehand, but it's interesting because now that you said that to me, I can see how this is a play. The way it's filmed, it's basically takes place in an apartment, in a room. I mean, the people sometimes go into other rooms and stuff, but for the most part, this is internal mostly.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I love how all these other threads of the story kind of get woven in. The thing about religion, it definitely comes up again and again in a lot of other Aronofsky projects, like the Noah movie, like even The Fountain. I know you're not a big fan of it. Even Requiem for a Dream in some points. Not religion, but just the idea of salvation through X, Y, and Z. If this happens, then I'll be happy or whatever. And it's interesting because, again, Tom comes in on his high horse, saying that he wants to save Charlie, that he wants to help Charlie. But I feel like that help is just disguised self-interest, because at the end of the story, Tom gets something back that obviously he wanted, right? And I don't know if Ellie facilitated that. I don't know if she did or she didn't.
I don't know if that was her intent. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was saying before about Charlie's optimism is that he sees it that way.
That way, right. No.
Even though it could have been like
could
the
have been
mom's
malicious.
way,
Yeah.
who saw when Charlie and the mother were, what's the mother's?
Mary.
When Charlie and Mary were talking, he's like, she basically says, you have this like relentless optimism, and he's like, well, you're a relentless cynic. We balance each other out. And her cynical view is Ellie is evil, like quote unquote evil.
Yeah, I know. You and I both looked at each other like, what the hell is she talking about? She's a teenager.
She has like completely written off the daughter as just being this monster child, and Charlie, he doesn't see it that way. Granted, he hasn't been really involved in the life, and he doesn't really know any of the details of his daughter's life, because when he speaks to Mary, it's always, oh, she's fine.
Right.
Just the lack of communication resulted in this complete dichotomy of perspective on this girl. And even though Ellie, when she even does come to Charlie's house, she's still, I would say, 80 to 90%
a
monster.
Jerk face. Yeah.
There are some glimmers, maybe even compassion, but you don't even know.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
I think once she gives you something, she takes it back, because I think in her mind, it's like, I will hurt you before you hurt me, especially with Charlie. I think that's
not
very much how she operates.
I think it's also a little bit of payback, because she really felt like personally hurt by the fact that he left.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like she
because even Mary says,
she saw it as him basically being like, "Fuck all y'all, I'm out." When the entire time he was doing everything he could to
be in her life,
to send money, to the point where he probably would not be in the condition he is in if he would have said, okay, just take me to the hospital.
Right.
And
Mary says that to him too, like, take your money and just
he refused all of that. He refused all of that because he was convinced, and I think wrongly, that
he needed to leave this.
He needed to leave her this money, because the girl didn't need money. She needed a dad. She needed a dad. She needed that relentlessly optimistic influence in her life to balance out the relentlessly cynical of the mother. I mean, there is a being realistic about the world. It's not all sunshine and lollipops, but it's also not all doom and gloom. There's a balance in there.
Yeah. And if he had been more proactive.
Ellie didn't have that. And you see in her life that she is just mean. Yeah. She is just a mean girl.
Unnecessarily unkind, yeah.
She is, as Charlie appreciates, honest.
She is.
Honest to the point of cruelty. Even when he sees the post she put up on Facebook about there'll be a massive grease fire in hell when he dies, he's like, oh, she's a great writer.
And Mary's reaction was like, that's your takeaway?
That's your takeaway?
Yeah.
Because he's got that optimism. It's like, yeah, that's horribly insulting to me and unflattering to me. But that's shows creativity. It's well written. No spelling errors.
I am floored by this entire film. It was just gut-wrenchingly beautiful. Yeah. Gut-wrenchingly heartbreaking. Just everything. I'm just amazing. Even the other characters, Samantha Morton as Mary, Hing Chau as Liz, Sadie Sink as Ellie, phenomenal. The women in this piece are just chef's kiss. Amazing. I really wish that this film had come out this year. I mean, who knows what's on tap for this year, but I just feel like I'm glad that Bredan Fraser won the Oscar, rightly so. But I wish this film had gotten more attention and more love. And to all these haters about body horror, go fuck yourselves. Seriously, if you don't understand what this movie is about, keep it moving. Honestly. This is not for everyone. Absolutely not for everyone.
This is a very talky movie, it's also, like I said, it's uncomfortable to watch. You feel so badly for
Charlie.
For Charlie, just him moving. They really emphasize how
Difficult
hard it is to live in
painful,
to live in the condition that he is in.
He's in constant pain.
He's in constant pain, and you feel terrible when you see him just giving in.
Yes. Oh my God.
Anytime he was eating something, I was just like, I feel bad. And like I'm like, why is Liz bringing him that? Why is she bringing him 2 sandwiches?
2 subs.
Like.
At least that was another thing.
Make it, at least by one, you know.
And you know what? Did you notice that when Ellie made him a sandwich, she said just turkey, no mayonnaise,
and you're only getting one.
And you're only getting one.
It's going to be small, she said.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though, like, that was very telling, right? That scene, and I think that he appreciated that kind of thing, that somebody was willing to tell him no. Whereas Liz, I feel like. I think Liz, say it, but she was sort of an enabler here, because even though, and it's weird because it's like, you should know better.
Yeah, she's a nurse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although he was
able to procure food on his own too, because he would just order. But where's he getting the cash?
I'm assuming from his work, from his pay, from his job.
They're not sending him an envelope of cash. Somebody's got to be hitting that bank machine for him.
Maybe Liz? I don't know.
It has to be Liz.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we're sort of like trying to fix a fictional character's life here, but it's just when you see that you become agitated.
Yes.
And I think that was like another part of the movie. It's like, and another tribute or another like accolade as far as Fraser's performance, because we care.
Yeah.
We literally care about Charlie, and we're just like, please don't buy him two freaking
subs. He doesn't
giant subs.
Yeah.
Please don't let him give him the money to buy 2 entire pizzas. Clean out that drawer of candy bars.
Yeah.
And she's like, she did the shopping for him. So all of that stuff was there because Liz was just indulging him. And I'm guessing it's because of the emotional attachment that they had through their connection through Alan. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's so hard to watch.
It really, really is. I'm devastated by this film. Devastated.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We had just watched Blue Jay with Mark Duplass and Sarah Paulson, and I was like, I felt severely impacted by this movie. But this one is like next level. Like, I feel severely impacted by this film as well, but like to the umpteenth power. This was emotionally and mentally draining to watch, and not in a bad way. I mean, I appreciate. This was on our list to watch for a while. As I was watching it, I immediately fell in love with Charlie. And just, again, that is the mark of a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I mean, Aronofsky, really, don't sleep on this guy. I mean, I feel like...
Well, it's kind of late to sleep. He's been making movies for a long
time. But I feel
we saw what I saw like Pi when I think it was still the 90s.
Yeah. So he's been around for a while. But I feel like he's not in the conversation of great directors. Everyone talks about Nolan or Scorsese or Spielberg. And listen,
really?
I feel like they have their place in the pantheon of great directors, but let's give credit where it's due. Aronofsky, whether you like him or not, makes very provocative movies about interesting people and interesting subjects. They're not cookie cutter to me. Even something like The Wrestler, which I also found devastating, not to this level, but that was also a movie that really was tough to watch, with a really great performance by Mickey Rourke.
He does not make feel good movies.
No, not at all.
They just tear at you.
Yes. He really and I can't
imagine him making a slapstick comedy.
You know what? I would love to see it. I would love to see his take on something comedic.
I bet even if he did,
it would be doom and gloom. You would
just leave the theater just haunted. Something would...
So depressed.
Yeah. You'd be like, that was hilarious, but I feel...
Terrible. It's terrible. It's... Yeah, I mean, just... I know that you didn't particularly care for The Fountain. I loved it. It's one of those movies. I have to go watch it again. I think
it was very pretty and interesting, but I feel it was a little too art house for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the shit out of it. I loved it. I loved it from the very first time I saw it. But I feel like that's the type of storyteller Aronofsky is. He's almost like the Pied Piper. He draws you in, and it's like
he wants to make you cry.
He basically, really. I mean, he freaking succeeded gangbusters on this one. I mean, I feel like I've cried at other movies of his, but not like this. This literally broke me in half.
Not literally.
Okay, not literally. Semantics. This really, I have not felt like this about a movie in a really long time. I mean, I know that I'm an easy crier, but this was the type of crying that
you started early.
I started. You heard me, right?
Yeah.
I was sobbing.
Yeah.
At one point, I was gonna turn to you and say, you know what? You need to turn this off. I don't think I could make it through this film. I really don't think I could.
I could feel that coming, and I'm proud of you for not.
For sticking it out.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, wait a minute. I think this movie is like 2 hours, right? I think I can make it for 2 hours. But it was touch and go there for a while. Because I was like, at one point, I was like going to jump off the couch and just run to the bathroom and just dry heave. Or I don't know what the hell I was going to do. But I was like, I need to get away from this TV. But it's riveting at the same time. It's like, it's excruciating to watch, but you're also like drawn into the story. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it's interesting because at the same time, I felt like this is not going to end well. But you're hoping for a different sort of outcome. But
you know there's not going to be... He's not,
puppy dogs and rainbows at the end of an Aronofsky film.
Right at the beginning, they're just, when Liz is just like, you need to go to the hospital because you're going to die.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
She basically says, you're going to die in a week.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, I can't go to the hospital. It costs too much. I don't have insurance.
Can we also talk about that? I appreciate Aronofsky kind of making a nod to this. Again, I don't know. I don't know about the play. I don't know if it's an embellishment on the play, or I don't know if this is like a faithful retelling of the play, but we certainly have such a clusterfuck of a problem in this country where people literally will go bankrupt because of medical care.
Yes, that's a true use of the word literally. They will.
Literally, yes. It's bananas, and it's upsetting, and obviously all these actors and Aronofsky and all these studio executives, I'm sure they have really good insurance. But for the bulk of the country, the people like Charlie, this is an issue. I mean, he's working, but again, doesn't have insurance, which is crazy because it's like, can't you apply for like state aid or something? Like,
I mean, even that costs
probably costs money, right? But still, it's like, I don't know. I mean, part of me felt like watching this film was somebody slowly killing themselves, not through alcohol or drugs. It was through food, which is weird because it's food's supposed to be nourishing. It's supposed to be fuel for your body kind of thing. But here it's the thing that's slowly killing Charlie. And it's just so sad to watch because it was like, there's people that, I mean, this is a terrible thing to say, but there's people that deserve to die, and Charlie wasn't one of them. And yet, here we are. And when you feel that, again, like you said, for a fictional character, that is, again, the hallmark of amazing storytelling. So, again, kudos to Darren Aronofsky for just, I mean, like, an exceptionally brutal, but in a good way, movie watching experience. This movie will stay with me for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just phenomenal. Again, thank you, Samuel D. Hunter, the playwright, the original playwright, for such a devastating piece of storytelling, for making us care for a person that doesn't exist, but in probably some way, shape, or form does exist out there. There's also kind of shout outs to the way we live now. Charlie is a online teacher, professor, instructor, whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is a spoiler, but towards the end, where he decides to be honest with his class, it was interesting to see some of the individual reactions.
Yeah, some were like
Fascinated, some were
moved,
horrified.
some were fascinated, some were like laughing.
Right.
There was the girl covering her mouth.
Right. There was the one that immediately took out her
Out
phone.
her camera and decided to
Yeah.
take pictures. You get the whole gamut of human reactions to that sort of thing.
Right. So that too, I that was kind of my only complaint with the film. Like, I wish he had panned out more so that we could have seen more, because it was just like this kind of.
There weren't a lot of faces on the screen. It was he had a laptop. I mean,
I know, but I think I would have liked to have seen like the entire class kind of thing. Like, you just saw, it was sort of like the Brady Bunch. You saw him in the middle and then just like one box around him. I would have liked to have seen more of that, but still, it's still an impactful scene, and it's still, that scene also resonated with me, just how unkind people can be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like a whole
gamut of emotions
there, gamut of reactions. There's always going to be those people who have no empathy or feeling that just they're like venal. They love just the lowest common denominator thing. First thing in their mind is, oh, that fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then there's the other people who realize this is a man with a problem, who's struggling in life. And it's interesting because prior to that, they all seem to love him.
Yeah.
I mean, they're enraptured by his voice and
the lessons
that he's trying to convey to them. And then for some of them, once that physical appearance is known to them,
they change
out the window.
Well,
I'm gonna start giggling or taking pictures.
Well, you could also say, was it Dan, the pizza delivery guy? Mm-hmm. That was also kind of,
that set him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't make out what Dan said when
I think it was something like gross or.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think maybe of all the things, maybe that one wasn't necessary, just because it seemed weird. Mm-hmm. It was like, why would Dan clearly must realize something's wrong with this person,
right? That he's constantly ordering to.
And I got to be, if I was, I mean, this is just me. If I was in a similar situation, I'd be wondering, did a burn victim or something? If I just saw it was a person guy so large that they needed a wheelchair to move around, I'd be like, that's in the
friggin' scheme of
things.
And
all the realm of possibilities of terrible things. That's probably the least of what I'd expect, or the least shocking. Because I mean, people come in all shapes and sizes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think that obviously we're coming from a different place, right? We aren't those types of people that are going to laugh and snicker. And
we're older, I guess, and have learned empathy and have walked in other, or tried to
walk in other.
Imagine what walking in another person's shoes would be.
And
like.
I think just, I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but being a parent, right? It changes you. I mean, you can't be a selfish prick anymore. You have to think about somebody outside of yourself.
Not only that, but you want to be an example to your kids. And the example that you want to be is not a selfish prick, or not somebody who is without empathy. You know, I would feel mortified if my kids were just like, oh my God, look at that bloated monster over there.
Right.
You don't know that person. Shut up.
Yeah.
That's we'd punish our kids if they said stuff
for being
like
insensitive.
That. Yeah. Somehow it almost feels like some people feel like you need to be cruel. Maybe they're of the mind that whole you need to be cruel to be kind sort of thing, which I guess is
sort of how Liz operated.
Maybe if we're following the optimistic view of Charlie. Mm-hmm. No, not Liz, Ellie.
Ellie, sorry, that's what I meant.
But I mean, sometimes it just doesn't freaking help. You could berate and ridicule and humiliate, and you're not going to do anything constructive for that person.
Right.
Sometimes the person just needs a hand up, not a kick in the face.
Agreed. Yeah, this was, again, just an amazing watch experience. I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I really wish this movie had come out like either the year before or this year. I just... you believe that. I personally could not give a flying shit about the Oscars, the Golden Globes, anything. A good film is a good film, and it comes out when it comes out. Fair enough, but I feel like those things do help.
Yeah, I am happy that it was made. I was able to see it. It
Yes.
was able to affect me in the way it did.
And to be able to talk
granted,
about
it was tough to watch at certain points. It was kind of uplifting in others. You love a character that can reach you the way that Charlie is able to. I'm happy. I don't begrudge it coming out in 2022 or whatever. I don't care. Okay. It's got the Ray Award here. Okay. I'm giving it my own personal Oscar.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
It was better than good.
And it's not a contest. If you made me happy, everybody's going to get one. If your film sucked, you don't get one. That's right.
How many would the Raid 2 get?
The Raid 2, oh my God. That would get like at least a dozen.
9 Ray Awards.
Good 9 Ray Awards. That's right. There aren't even categories. It's just times 2, times 3.
There you go.
They're like extra lives in Mario.
All right. So, anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Just do yourself a favor. Run, don't walk, and check out 2022's The Whale from Darren Aronofsky and playwright Samuel Hunter. I'm still floored. This was... I don't know. It was just so freaking sad. So freaking sad. But good. I mean, just an amazing watch. And just kudos to the entire cast. Really well done. Thank you, A24. We just finished Beef. That was also fantastic. I co-sign on anything A24 does at this point, I feel like.
Did we give numbers?
Oh, we did not. I'm going to give this a 10. A 10.
I'll give it a 9 because there's no such thing as a 10.
This was a perfect film. This was devastating and excruciating and painful and just made me feel so much. Again, for a person that doesn't even exist. So yeah, this gets a 10 from me. I highly, highly recommend it. I think maybe buy yourself some ice cream after as a treat. I don't know, but yeah, this is a heavy film. This is a very, very heavy film with some interesting themes about forgiveness and whatever you want to define as salvation. It talks about religion. It talks about healthcare. It talks about relationships between fathers and daughters and husbands and wives and what happens after the love is gone. You know what? We didn't talk about this, but I felt like Mary still loved Charlie.
I mean, probably she probably felt broken after that because he's the one who left.
Right.
She was the one who was jilted by him.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I'm guessing she never really
got into another relationship.
Nothing serious anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think she was waiting for Charlie to come back. I think she was mad. She says that story about Alan, which I thought was interesting. But that was also, I mean, for someone who's not on screen for a very long time, Samantha Morton is sensational in that.
Yeah.
I mean, what is she on the screen for? Like 8 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
It's not a big
more than
part.
15, yeah.
It's not a big part of the film.
Scene.
It's just that one scene, but it is excruciating. It's excruciating to watch.
Because she knows that someone that she did really love and maybe still has very strong feelings for, this is it for him.
Yeah.
He is on his way out and she probably will never see him again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Be kind to each other, people. And that's it from us, and we will bid you all a good night.
Good night.